G'day guys, X-Ray Racer 1 here, and today I'm going to be doing a bit of a tutorial video or a how-to video. This will be how to paint a body for a radio controlled car. Now, one of the reasons why I'm going to be doing this, as a lot of you know who have been subscribed to my channel for quite a while, apart from what I've been doing of late, which is model railroading, I do build series videos for radio controlled cars, and I'll go through step by step building the car. But when it comes to painting the body, I kind of just give a few tips on what to do, and then the next video is the reveal video where you see it in its entirety. So what I'm going to be doing is a step-by-step tutorial video for painting bodies for lexan bodies for radio controlled cars. Now, there are a few videos on YouTube on how to do that. I'm not doing this video as what they're doing is wrong, this is how you do it video. This is how my procedure of doing it, and what I do is relative to all lexan bodies, whether it be for touring car, Formula 1, 1/8 scale buggy, 1/10 scale buggy, and so on. It's all relative. So first of all, the one thing you do need is you need a body. I have here a Proline GMC top kick. This is for my HPI Savage. For those who want to know, the part number is 3354-00. So there is another version of the top kick which is for like your Savage XL and your, I think the Traxxas E-Revo, because I think the E-Revo is a little bit bigger than the standard Savage. So yes, you need a body. Now, next thing you will need is, now this comes as an option, you can do either one. You'll need some masking tape, or as an alternative, some liquid mask. This is Palmer Fast Mask. You will also need some hobby knives. Careful, those are really sharp, I've found out the hard way. You will need, if you're using liquid mask, you will need some paintbrushes. You will also need a permanent marker, and you will also need some curved lexan scissors to cut the body out. Now, one of the other things will help is some blank sheets of paper. Now, you're probably wondering, well, what the hell do you want that for? If you're doing a complicated design and you're going to do, say, something on the right hand side and you want it to be exactly the same on the left hand side, you can draw your design out here, cut it out and use it as a template, so when you do it on the right hand side, it'll be exactly the same on the left hand side, so that way it keeps it even, and when the design isn't all skewered, so to speak. Now, the most important thing you'll be needing is paint. Now, I use an airbrush, so I'll be using some airbrush paint. This is Spazstick's Candy Apple Red. I'm not doing the entire body in this color, but I'm just using this bottle as an example. Or you can use a spray can. Now, paints can vary in brand and in price depending on what country you're from and where what hobby shop you buy from. These are, I don't mind the Tamiya spray cans. I don't always use them, but I generally just use white as a backing. But that being done, so what I'm going to do is I will go through with you all the steps and procedures to paint a body and mount it to your car. Last thing I am going to do is I'm going to be doing a bit of a design, and I have some Palmer pre-cut masks. These are long drips, so I'll be doing that. Now, so those are the things that you need. So let's get on with it, and we will start at step number 1. Alright guys, step 1. Now, step 1 might vary depending on how people like to paint their bodies. For me personally, I like to cut out the body first. The reason being for that, quite often I've found in the past when I was cutting bodies out, is after I painted it and I'd start cutting, I would find that the tips of the scissors would scratch the paint, and I don't like that. And, you know, especially if you spent, you know, hours prepping, painting and drying out a body, or to have some little scratch marks, especially around the wheel wells, that is frustrating. So what I like to do is to cut it out, the most of the body first, then what I will do is I will do with a permanent marker, I will mark out the body posts. Now this body, this is, like I said, this is for my HPI Savage. The body is slightly longer than the actual bumper to bumper part of the chassis of the truck itself, so it's gonna be a little bit of a fiddle to get it mounted. So this is why I like to do it clear. So we'll start off by cutting out the body. Now with creative editing, I'll either be putting it fast forward, or it'll be kind of skip towards the end of the cutting. So here we go. Whew. Alright guys, so that's that bit done. So now I'll just quickly pause, and I will go to I'll get my truck, and we'll go from there. Alright guys, so now I have my truck here. This is my HPI Savage X 4.6, it's nitro. So with that, I have to, what I like to do, especially with a nitro model, is I like to cut out all the necessary holes first. If you're racing a nitro touring car, usually you will cut a hole in the window for air cooling. Don't do that yet, leave that for last. So what we'll do now is we will find out where, and also since my Savage has the adjustable body post, what I'm going to have to do is move them around. Just as a quick edit guys, what I've done is a roll cage back here. I've just taken that off, just right there. I'll put that back on a little bit later, but at the moment I'm just concentrating on mounting the body. So what we'll do, so what I like to do is get most of the mounting points correct. So what I'll do here is the body will fit about like that, and when you're doing it, make sure you can see your body mount posts. So with mine, I like to do the front first. So what we'll do is make sure you get it as evenly as possible so the body is dead center. And with a permanent marker, if I can remember where I put mine, damn it, there it is. We will mark the body posts. Oh. Okay, so with that done, what I also like to do is also, in addition to marking with permanent marker, is I will get my scalpel and I will just mark a small hole in the middle of that way. If I forget, because your bodies are covered with a protective film to prevent oversprayed marking, so if I forget, well then at least those little pinholes there will give me reference to where to draw the body. So the back here, now there will be a little bit of marking to be done after, but we'll get to that in the next video. Alright guys, so that's the end of step 1. Now we'll get on to step 2. Alright guys, step 2, it's time to clean the body. So we clean the inside of the body as we paint the inside. So generally what I do is I just use some warm water and some dishwashing liquid. Any brand, doesn't matter. Kids, for the love of God, don't use your mum's dishwashing cloth. She'll kick your backside. I just use a old rag to clean, and yeah, it's pretty much straightforward. So don't have to use a lot of soap. Don't have to use a lot of water. Alright, just give it a rinse off. Alright, we let that dry and it'll be on to the next step. Alright guys, so this is step 3. So now what we come to, it's come time to choose a design. Now, before we go ahead with this, if you see at the back here, what I've done here is you can see all permanent marker. Unfortunately, this is a whole section I have to cut out. Being that my Savage is a nitro powered truck, got to cut all this out so the engine sticks out and so I can reach to the fuel tank. It's not too bad, I'm not worried. So just thought I'd just bring that out in case you're wondering during this process. So now it comes time to choose a design. Now, as I said in the beginning of the video, I'm using some Palmer paint masks. They're drips. However, if you're not going to do that and you want to do your own design, like I showed in the beginning of the video, you'll need some paper. And the whole reason using paper is to give for some stencil, to draw stencils. And the reason to draw stencils is so if you're doing it on one side of the body, you want it to be on equal on the same opposite side. And I'm not doing that because, as you can see, I absolutely suck at drawing. These are supposed to be lightning bolts. Don't laugh. So what you would do is you would draw out your design, and then you would cut it out how you want, and then just for as an example, this is supposed to be a stripe, don't laugh. What you would do is on the inside of the body, you would put it on the inside, just as an example, or say you put it along here, and that way on the inside you can use the lines of the body to line up where you want it to go. So if you want the joint, the down part, to go just at the front, beginning of the front door, that line down there, then once you've drawn it out with a permanent marker, which I have, unfortunately I've seen, so with a permanent marker you would draw it out, and then you would do the same on the opposite side, and you would line up the same part again, and then you would mark it out with a permanent marker. So that's just to give you an example. I'm using paint mask. Now, when it comes to masking, you'll need, your body will come with window masks. However, unfortunately, the window masks, sorry if you can hear a bit of a rattling noise, that's the microphone attached to a bit of plastic. Unfortunately, these are the window masks for the body. Whoever was in the factory that day is either in a hurry to get home, or he was hungover from the night before and just crammed it in, and there's the result. So I can probably still use those masks, so just be careful. So that's for choosing your design. So this is just going to be a quick video, quick section, sorry. So what we'll do next is we'll get to the masking. Alright guys, this is step 4. Window masking, or window masking, depending on how you're going to go about painting. Now, what I will be doing in this video is I'll just be showing you how to apply the window masks, and I will be doing these masks off camera because they're going to be quite time consuming. So now, when it comes to window masks, as I showed you in the previous step, these were damaged. I was able to put that was the rear window. I was able to put it on, thank goodness. So now comes time to put window masks on. It's pretty easy. So you peel it off. Now take your time when doing this. Sorry if this is going to be off camera, just so I can see, but when you're doing it, take your time, make sure you line it up with the window lines. And it should go on pretty easy. Okay, so we're getting there. And you may even have to peel it back off and do it again. These window masks are pretty resilient. They are reusable. So there we go, that's better. So when you get to this part here, push down firmly, and I'll be back in a second. Alright, sorry about that. So as I was saying, when we get to this part here, when you've put your mask down, we will press firmly. Don't be afraid to use your fingers and push firmly. This is just to make sure that the mask is out flat and that it's got perfect coverage over the whole area and there's no air bubbles. Probably a few little air bubbles will be fine, but especially around the edges, make sure that you get the edges down. That's probably the most important part, right around the edges. Alright, so this will probably be edited and fast forwarded, and we'll do the other ones. Alright guys, so that's the end of that step. Like I said, off camera I will be putting these masks on. So we move on to the next step, which will be painting. Alright, so now I have put masking on. So now we get to the part where we paint the body. Before I go ahead, what I've had to do, I had a little bit of trouble putting the masks on for the fact that this body is very detailed. I had some issues with putting the masks on, and what I've also had to do is, don't panic what you see here, because it's a bit hard to tell on camera, but I also have liquid mask, and but part of that problem, as I was saying, because the body is very detailed, I had a lot of trouble putting on the masks. And what I've had to do in certain areas here is I've also had to put liquid mask over these sections here, where the I guess you call it the B pillar is on the body. You can't really tell, but there's liquid mask there. I've had to put some liquid mask around here. I've had to put a lot of liquid mask around over the masks here, because what I've had to do is to get them to fold into shape, I had to use my hobby knife and cut them so they would technically separate, and then lay down. Then I would put liquid mask to fill in the gaps. And then what I've also done here is this section here. This section here has liquid mask like on this point here on the line and on that line there. Then as you can see here, I have with this mask, I have liquid mask going down here so that it'll come up and go out like that. That's how it'll look when it's painted. So it was a bit of an effort. When you use liquid mask, guys, liquid mask, this is what I use here, Parma Fast Mask. When you use it, it's like a paste, it's like a latex liquid paste sort of thing. When you paint it, it's you paint it on, and then if you're going to do the whole body, you just paint the whole body. You can even use it instead of window masks as well. I do at least 2 thick coats, and then once that's done, let each coat dry, and then with your design, so if you had this design here in your liquid mask, you would cut it out and remove the unwanted liquid mask and then paint. So now that I've gone over that, if you have any more questions, don't hesitate to comment on certain sections of the video if you have a little bit of trouble following. I know I have a little. I'm not afraid to admit I do have some troubles explaining myself. But now that we've gotten to this section, now we're ready to paint. what we'll do now is you will need to choose the colors you want. So the colors I'm using, these ones here. I've got 2 bottles the same. Now when you paint, the most important rule to remember when painting is use dark colors first. So go from darkest to lightest. So obviously my darkest color that I've chosen is black. Other colors I'll be using fast pearl green, fast pearl key lime, fast pearl gold, and fast pearl silver. Those are the main colors, and for the water effect, like the drip effect, I'll be using Spazsticks Candy Apple Red. So what I'll do first, now what I will be doing is the black will be a bit like a fade around effect, the drips. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to do one of the masks first, and I'll go through with you that procedure. This is if you're using airbrush. It'll be very hard to use it if you're using a spray can, mainly because like with your spray cans, they generally come out at about 40 psi, so it's a bit hard to get a nice small fading effect around the masking. So what I'll do is I will adjust my air compressor. Alright, so now we will put some paint on, or get our paint ready. But the next thing, before I forget, when you're painting, doesn't matter if you're indoors or outdoors, a face mask is necessary. Now you might find it hard to hear me. I've got my microphone down here, so when I put this on, I might come out a little bit muffled. So what I'm going to do is I will put some paint in, and I will show you the first bit of the fading, and then when I do the one mask, it'll probably be sped up, and then we'll go on to the next part of painting. So we'll get some paint. Make sure you shake it up well. Make sure if you're wearing glasses it doesn't fog up. Might have to take my specs off. Now when you're painting, if you're going to do what I'm about to do, it doesn't hurt to use a scrap piece of paper or scrap bit of wood to just test your airbrush. So alright, so that's a little bit too much pressure, so I want to lower that pressure a little bit more. There we go. So like I said, it doesn't hurt to do a few little practice runs. So what I'm going to do now is I'll just do this one side here, and also it doesn't hurt to just check to make sure that the mask is down. And when you're doing it, start on the mask and then work your way out. Alright guys, so as you can see there, hang on. As you can see there, I've got the, I've gone around with the airbrush, so on the outside it's a bit like that. So just give me a quick second. One of the next things I do recommend is a hairdryer. Now usually when you do light fading like this you won't notice a lot, but this does help with drying. You'll see the shine go off the paint. So okay, so what I'm going to do now is I'm going to pause the video here, and then I will continue with the rest of the fading, and then we'll get on to the next part of painting. Alright guys, so now as you can see I have done the outlines of the water drips, and I'm glad I just showed you that one side. I can't remember what side it was, but I'm just glad I showed you that one side because this was very time consuming. So once you've done that, it doesn't hurt to just go over the masks again, which I've done, just to make sure that they've sat down, still seated properly, or stuck properly rather, and just go over everything just to make sure. When you've done that, we can now go on to the next part of painting. So yeah, so now, like I said before, we go from darkest to lightest. So the next color I'll be doing will be this will be for the main body, or the main paint scheme. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to have it fade probably about here to gold, to a fast pearl gold. So the green, the key lime here will be darker, so give this a good shake, especially if it's one of these pearl colors, because it's got all metal flakes and other little iridescent bits in it which give it the pearl effect, so you'll want to give that a good shake. Now another thing I'll mention too while we're here, when you it doesn't necessarily matter when you're doing the small outline stuff like I've done here, but when you're doing like a large part of the body, what we'll be doing is what is a light, what you would call a light dusting. And what this will do, it will help the rest of the coats of paint adhere to the body better. So when I say a light dusting, in other words, a very, very light coat of paint. And since I'm not doing any intricate outlines anymore, I've upped the pressure, I think, to about 40 psi. So this will be what will come out out of your ordinary spray can. So now, one thing I will mention, as you can tell, obviously see that I'm using a airbrush and I'm doing it indoors. However, do make sure it is in a ventilated area. But if you are using spray cans, please spray them outside, especially the Tamiya spray cans. The propellant they use gives you rotten head spins. Alrighty, so masks on. Yeah, as always, check to make sure that the paint's flowing properly. Which it is. So now what we'll do is we'll hold the body away and we'll start with a light coat, and this will probably be sped up. Right, I'll just clean my airbrush out. Alright, so as you can see, it's a very light coat. As you can see, you probably can't see. Oh, there we go. So this is a very light coat, and then what I'll do is I'll get my hairdryer and I will help dry this off. Alright, so rinse and repeat. Joking part on the rinse part. Right guys, so that's the green done. What I'm going to do now is I'm going to rinse, clean out my airbrush, and then we'll come back and do the gold. Alright guys, so done the green, now we move on to the gold. As always, quick check. It helps to give it a quick blast too on something, especially if you're changing colours. You may not have cleaned out your airbrush sufficiently. This is if you're using an airbrush, doesn't matter if you're using a can. Just a quick spray on something like that, just in case there's another colour still on the tip there. It just blasts that away so you don't ruin your paint. Alright, so same as last time. Alright, so what I'm going to do now is I'm just going to dry this paint, do a few more coats, and then I'll come back and then we'll go with removing the paint mask. Alright guys, so now we've got the main part of the body painted. As you can see, now what we'll be doing is removing the masks, the graphic masks, not the window masks. So and this also includes the liquid mask as well, so we need to be very careful at this point. And I usually have a hobby I usually have a hobby knife on me somewhere around here. Seems to have gone walkabout. So what we're going to have to do is very carefully do this by hand. So alright guys, so as you can see, got all the mask off now. So now we can proceed with the candy paint. Alright guys, so now we're ready to do the candy paint. So this is Spaz Sticks Candy Apple Red. The part number is 15050. I'll probably write that down there somewhere because I've got my mask on. So yeah, Candy Apple Red. Now it says to shake, give it a good shake. I've been shaking it off camera pretty well. Now it says to test it on a scrap surface. So what I'll do is I will put some in. Alright, so doesn't seem too bad. Alright, same procedure as always. Alright, so that's the first coat of candy. Guys, I've got to tell you right now, this stuff smells really bad. So if you're going to do this, please make sure you wear mask and make sure that you're in a well ventilated area. Alright, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to pause this here, and then I'm going to do a couple more coats, and then we'll continue from there. Alright guys, so as you can see here, I have put the candy paint on. I did about 4 coats. As you can see, it is transparent. So what is left to be done now is to back it. I'm going to back it with I was thinking of backing it with this Fast Pel Silver, but I'm actually gonna I've got a satin chrome. I'm gonna back it with that. I'm not going to, it's the same procedure all over again as with the rest of the body. However, I'm just, to try and keep the time down, I'm going to just do this off camera and we'll be back. Alright guys, so as you can see, I have done the candy apple red. I have backed it with silver, not silver, sorry, it's called Fast Chrome. It's satin. If you're wanting to know what the part number is, I cannot tell you because I don't know what it is. Yeah, it's called Fast Chrome Satin. So as you can see, it's all done. And what I have done as well is I have backed it with white. So as you can see, what the white does is it acts like a primer, because what you're doing in effect is you're working in reverse when it comes to painting. So on a real car where you would put a primer and then a base coat, then your candy, for instance, you're going backwards. So you're doing your candy, then your base coat, then your primer. So the white acts as a primer. So now what we're going to do now is we're going to remove the window masks and the protective film. Now I did mention before that I have put little marker holes here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to just quickly off camera drill some holes, and I'm going to have to quickly cut out the back here, and then I'll be back. Alright guys, slight change in plan. What I've done is I have done I got my Dremel and did some pre-drilled holes. They're not the proper size, but it's just so I know where they are. But what I haven't done, I haven't cut this back part out here. What I've done is just put some little holes around here just so I know where to cut when it comes time to do that. So what we'll do now is we'll, because as you can see, you can see the candy effect of the paint, but it's really going to look good once I take this protective film off. So what I'll do, it probably looks about the same on the camera, but in person the candy's really coming out well. So as you can see, it's got a real candy effect. Alright, so now what it's time to do, it's time to put some decals on this. So what I'm going to do is off camera I'm going to put most of them on, and then I'm just going to do a couple on the front just to give you an idea of what to do. Alright guys, so this is the last part of painting, which is applying decals. Well, technically it's the last part. Really, when you think about the final part is mounting it to the chassis, but we won't worry about that. So what I've been doing off camera is I have put most of the decals on. There's a few here left. I'm not going to put every single one on, but what I want to do is I want to focus on the headlight and the grille. Most of it's pretty straightforward. I've got the tail lights on, tailgate latch, got the door handles on, the hood latches. So we come to this part here. So we'll put the tail light on. Now when you're putting these on, you really need to take your time putting them on. So, and make sure you take your time in lining up the top part here. In this case, as it goes around, the actual headlight part kind of depresses in. So this silver part here at the top, we'll focus on first and wrapping it around. And then slowly with your finger sorry if my head's in the way. Just work your finger around. And try to get any air bubbles out. Like that. Now this next part, it's going to be a little tricky because if you look closely here, you'll see you have the GMC emblem on the front here, which is molded in. So we need to be very cautious when putting this on. So how we're going to do it, sometimes it actually helps, especially if you're in a cold area, to use a hairdryer. Now excuse me while this is off camera. And there you have it, guys. So that is a body completed. I will cut out the section here, and I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped. If you have any questions, don't hesitate to comment down below. And here's a little bonus footage of it on the truck.